Hello and welcome to the stretching video. It's imperative that we stretch before we get on any kind of apparatus in order to warm up our entire body. With that, we are starting with 25 jumping jacks. You can see them. You can see me doing them right here on the screen. And the reason why we want to do our jumping jacks is it's going to help get the blood flowing faster and will actually help in mobilizing our shoulders and our hips as they are doing those tiny movements. After our jumping jacks, we're going to do 15 squats. A lot of people will have their legs more together for your traditional squat. However, these are more ballet type squats that I'm doing here. There's not too much of a difference in how they work your legs. It's just about what the positioning is and the angle at which the muscle is turning out of the joint. Once we are done with our squats, we're moving ahead to arm circles towards the back. We're starting these really big and then making them medium-sized and then trying to make them really tiny, like we're just doing tiny little circles with our hands. When we've done that, we flip the process to go back forward, starting tiny, going medium, and then going big.
Have you ever felt that way?
I have.
And once we've finished those, we're going ahead, putting one arm across the shoulder and either grabbing below or above the elbow and bringing that shoulder in. And we can also take this time to turn our wrists in order to warm up our wrists for the apparatus. Here, I also like to take my neck and bend it away from the shoulder that I am stretching. I get like 3 different locations in the spot. I'm stretching out the shoulder, I'm stretching out the wrist, and I'm stretching out my neck. And you just do the same thing on the other side. You switch the arm over, grab either above or below the elbow, but not directly onto the joint. And you carry it out. Next, we are working on our neck leans. So here you take one hand, you push it away from the neck gap that you're creating, and it's going to create that line of stretch between your head and your shoulder. And you do that with also adding extra weight on top of your head with your alternative hand. After our neck leans, we are going to work to roll our head. We're starting with really tiny motions. A way that this has been described is by pretending that there's a flashlight on top of your head. You want to start really tiny, almost like it's a singular point on the ceiling, and then making those really big turns all the way around, like you're trying to reach every single wall of the room, and then you're going to reverse it. So you start tiny, get big, start big, get tiny, going a different direction each time. With that, we're going to go ahead and do what are called body rolls. You want to take your chin in, duck down, make yourself into a little croissant or a cinnamon roll. You want the arms to be really heavy here. And once you've done that, you come back up slowly, letting the arms be heavy, and the head is what turns up last. We do this again. We just repeat the process. Head dipping down, shoulders going down, trying to roll ourselves into this little cinnamon roll, and then letting ourselves unroll back up. I do this 3 times. After our body rolls, we are going to go ahead and get straight into our touching toes. So a lot of people have trouble touching the ground, and really it's just about working to reach your hands towards the floor. If you have your hands flat on the floor, you can go ahead and reach behind your ankles or even further, which is what I'm doing in this video, as I already have a lot of flexibility in my hips. We want to open that up to a straddle, a little bit more of a wider stance, our straddle stance, if you will. Our one hand is going to reach straight up, and we are going to lean over, alternating the side. And the way that we want to lean over is as if the hand that's straight up in the sky is carrying us over. We want to come back up, and we're going to do the other side. The other arm is going to go straight up, 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 until you start leaning over. We are going to transition this into our flat back. With our flat back, we can do little arm pulses, or you can even orientate them from the hip, and then you can go down and go to that front leg. With this, I am now bending and pointing my back leg. This is just helping to deepen the stretch of the front leg, switching between having that back foot pointed and stagging up, or by flexing and bending that foot down. Then we can go to our flat back on our other side and repeat the same process of pulsing and then reaching down to bend and point that back leg.
Have you ever felt that way?
I have.
Once we finish our triangle position, we are going straight into our 90-90 lunge. I'm leaning forward into it, and once I've leaned forward, my foot is going to scooch, so that way my knee and ankle are in line with each other. With this, we can just lean into it to deepen the stretch with our hamstrings. Our opposite arm can reach back to grab that foot and bring it in. This just continues the stretch in our hamstring. When we are done with stretching that hamstring, we are going to a full lunge. So my back knee is coming up and creating a straight leg. Here I can dip my hips down and up to work on just feeling the stretch going in and out of my hamstring. We can also then go back and forth with our foot. This just warms up the calf and the flexed position. Then we want to go back, straighten our front leg, and bring our nose to knee, or better yet, chest to knee. A lot of people, when thinking of nose to knee, you end up rounding your back, and we want to keep a flat back for our point and flexing of our feet. This just continues the engaging of the calf and warming up those muscles like we did with our pulses and our full lunge. Then we do what's called windshield wipers. We have our feet entirely flexed, and we work on rotating them, not through the ankle, not through the knee, but through the joint of the hip. Then we can point our foot and slide into our split. If we have trouble reaching the ground, the main key is that we have our front leg straight and the back leg is bent if we cannot reach it. You can also use yoga blocks or use books as a way to give your hands extra height, so that way you don't have to try and reach and grasp for the ground. We want to bend that front leg and go into our pigeon position. Pigeon position is also an excellent way to get ready for our splits, as it gets the back leg used to the idea of being straight behind you, and it actually preps the front leg a little bit too. We're then going to switch so that our back leg goes over our bent front knee, and we're having our arm go across that knee so we can stretch and twist our back away from it. We are then going to open up onto our other side. You can just flip right into it from that cross leg position, starting again with our full runner's lunge, pulsing the feet back and forth. And then we can pulse our hips down and up just to deepen that hamstring. And with that, we can go back into our 90 position to then reach for our back foot with our opposite arm to continue our hamstring stretch. And when we're done with our hamstring, we're going to go up, sit back on that back leg, have that front leg straight, and do the same thing. We are keeping our chest to our knee, and we're pointing and flexing the foot. It's really important to practice both sides in order to evenly stretch out your entire body. And once we've done our point and flexing, we're going to go ahead and stay into our flexing position to do our windshield wipers. Reminder that this is a rotation through the hip and not through any other joint. With that, we can go ahead and point our foot back forward and slide into our split. And here I can go over it again, where that front leg is the one that stays straight and the back leg stays bent as needed. Once we've gone ahead and finished our splits, we're going to continue into our pigeon position, where the front leg is bent and we lean into it. When we finished our pigeon, we're going ahead to continue twisting our back by carrying the back leg around the front leg and moving our shoulder over it. So that way we're twisting and stretching the back. We're then going to get ready to prep our wrists. So we're going to go ahead and sit onto our legs, almost like we're going into child's pose, but not quite. I'm going to start with having my wrists inwards and fingers outwards and rolling around on top of it. We want to do this lightly to make sure we're not putting too much pressure on our wrists, but we also want to make sure that we're giving them a good enough warm-up by going clockwise and counterclockwise with our rotations. After that, we're taking our palms forward and then placing them so that our fingers are facing us. I have hyperextension in my wrists, so you can see me bending my elbows to compensate for that. But for our regular folk, you're going to want to just carry your hands more forward out in front of you. Then we go into our monkey pause, which is having the backs of our hands on the floor and trying to clench our fists so our fingers and thumbs are touching. You can also do an individual thumb to each finger tapping motion. And then we're going to go ahead and flip our wrists, starting with the outside position, flipping our wrists inward, facing forward, flipping wrists so that the fingers are flipping outwards. And then flipping inwards. After that, we're sliding into our child's pose, keeping our legs on the ground and stretching our arms forward like we're a cat about to take a nap. Once we've finished our child's pose, we're going to go ahead and get into our box position so we can do our cat-cows. Our cow, we're having the belly go as close to the floor as possible so that the shoulders and the butt are higher. And then for our cat position, we're like a hissing cat. Belly's going as far away as it can from the floor. And we're doing this back and forth to work the vertebrae of our spine and warming up those muscles in our back. I also like to shift in and out of this position to help with just extra rotations along those joint lines with my back. Then we're threading an arm through and laying into it to help twist the back to get further stretch in it. We can do the same with the other side, where we lift the arm up and thread through. Once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and start laying onto our belly. We are going to do our cactus stretch. We make 90-degree angles with our arms. You can see me lift my stomach up to show you. And with that, we're going to choose a side to twist over. That leg leads the way, and you're twisting your back and letting your shoulder press into the floor to stretch that shoulder. If you need an extra stretch, you can lift the other arm straight up into the air. And then we're going on to our other side. And with that, we're gonna start prepping for our Cobras. So I'm putting my hands behind my back. I'm working on using my head to lift my chest up off the floor as far as I can without using my hands. It helps if we press our feet into the floor, although it's natural that they might come off the floor a little bit. We're gonna do about 5 of these. And once we've gotten to the point of our last one, we are going to do it again, but have our hands on the floor, getting ready to push into our Cobra from the highest position in which we're able to use without our hands. When we roll down from our Cobra, we want to roll down by each vertebrae of the spine. You want to do it really slowly, so that way we're getting each part of the back softly. And then we can go ahead and do this again, where we lead with our head, not really trying to use our hands until the last minute. And then we're gonna roll back down with each vertebrae. We're gonna do it one more time.
Have you ever felt that way?
In this position, we can try and bring our feet to our head, try and touch our toes to our head, depending on our back flexibility. It's just an extra fun little challenge. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and just sit on our butt. We're gonna start with our pike position to stretch forward, trying to grab our toes. When we're doing this, we wanna keep our back flat, just like how our chest was coming to our knee when we were stretching for our splits. You can also flex your feet in this position in order to gain an extra calf stretch. With that, we're going to go ahead and open to our straddle. We want our knees pressing to the floor, so that way there's no extra gap with our thigh to the floor. We're going to start by leaning forward. Again, it's the same thing where we want to keep our chest as flat as possible while still turning it towards the floor. We're then going to pick a side and we're going to rainbow arc over to try and touch the toe. And then we can go ahead and rainbow arc to the other side. And then we want to turn over that leg, so that way our chest is going to be lying onto the leg and we're grabbing for that foot. I'm going to do the same again on the other side as well. With that, we're going to go back to the middle. This is just going to help us see how much more our stretching has improved. If you're looking at me before and after I do my side stretches, you can see I've gone down just a tiny bit deeper with my middle stretch. Then we're going to bring our legs into our butterfly position. Most people have their knees off the ground. You'll see mine are pretty flat onto the floor. With that, we want to bring our chest towards our toes. A lot of people end up trying to bring their head towards their toes and bending their back, and we don't want that. That's not good. We just want to work on keeping that back straight no matter how low to the floor means you get. A lot of people will probably only just be will probably be 90 degrees, 75 degrees with the floor instead of my 0 degrees with the floor where I've become a pancake. I actually like to sit in this position for a while just because my body's so mobile in it. So we're going to sit here for a little bit, but not too long. With that, we're going to get ahead and start going into our froggy split. So basically, our legs are coming out like we're a frog and we're leaning into it. Our legs are bent like 90 degrees and we're keeping our back as flat as possible. This is almost similar to the middle split. However, our legs are bent in this situation. A lot of times, people have their butt too forward or too backwards, but we really want our butt to be in line with our knees. Because in this position, this is where we're getting the deeper section of our stretch. Once we've finished our froggy, we can go ahead and just lay on the floor and roll our hips into the floor. This is just a nice relaxing sensation in order to get the hips just to relax after that stressful position you just put them into. With that, we're going into our goddess position. This is basically doing a squat and then pressing the knees outwards with our elbows, and our hands are coming together. Your hands can be together in whatever way you want. We're just using our elbows to push the knees outward while we're in our goddess position. Then we're gonna go ahead and lay on our back. We're doing some leg lifts. I like to put my hands underneath my butt so I know they're not going anywhere. And we're bringing our legs up towards my face. The better and more ab work we're putting into these, the more our hips will be coming off the floor. But we can just work on bringing our toes to the ceiling if that is your beginning position. If you're really good about them though, that's when you want to start bringing your hips up with it. We're just gonna keep doing this. And once we've done that, we're gonna either grab a hairband, or if you have a belt, belts also work. You wanna put it in the middle of your foot. And then you're gonna lean back into it. And you wanna try and use this belt, hairband, whatever you have, to bring your foot closer towards your face. You wanna work by first flexing and pointing your foot in one of the more relaxed positions. Then we're gonna work to bring it extra close to our face while trying to keep that leg straight. You can put your hand on that knee as a reminder. Then we wanna open it out to the side. And then we're gonna cross it back over to go inwards. So you're gonna see the foot coming towards the camera as I'm trying to stay on my back, but also having the leg go over to the side. We're gonna just let that one come back out. And we're gonna do our other foot. Again, putting it in the middle of the foot, laying back. And we're just gonna continue to try and bring the foot into our point and flex position before bringing it closer to our face, trying to deepen that split stretch. Again, using that hand as a reminder to keep that leg straight. We can then open it out to the side, so that way we're getting our open stretch. And then we can bring it back across to the other side, crossing it over. We are then going to just come out of that, and that is it for this stretching video. I would like to remind you that if you're using this again at any point, to modify as needed. Enjoy the rest of the series. Thank you.